What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
And today on The Great Debaters, the album, to me, that changed the history and the course of rap music. All right, Amir, so we're back here on The Great Debaters. As always, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Hit that like button. Support us, share us, get Unique Access out there so we can get to that #1 spot in the game. More interviews, more great debaters, more commentaries, etc., like a cashmere sweater, as Dougie Fresh would say. So, Amir, today we are getting into, in my opinion, one of the most important rap albums of all time, OutKast's Southernplayalisticadillacmuzik. So much to say about this album, so I'm excited we're talking about it here on Unique Access Entertainment. How and why did you get into this project?
One of the earlier albums that I'd heard because OutKast was a name that I'd already been familiar with. They're very big, especially when I started to listen to hip-hop in middle school, because Hey Ya was everywhere and The Way You Move was everywhere, but especially Hey Ya and even Roses. And I remember seeing these videos on TV like when I was getting into rap, and obviously that wasn't, at that time, that wasn't the rap that I started to listen to, but that was some stuff that I had already known. Right. So when I started to buy music, as you all know who watch the show, it was a lot of N.W.A, a lot of Wu-Tang, and OutKast was like that third group that I'd really started to listen to. So when I was like, oh, I know them. They're the guys who I've seen on TV, you know, like Andre has that green suit in that one video and like all this stuff. And I remember thinking all that. So when I bought this album, this is the first album that I'd heard from them. I listened to these in order. And when I heard this, I was like, oh, this is completely different from Hey Ya and all that. I was like, wow, this is just a complete different vibe and just everything. So I was genuinely shocked, and not in a bad way, in a very positive way. So that's kind of like how I got into it. And, you know, for some of our younger viewers, I'd be interested to see how they got into it, because OutKast especially, it's one of those groups, and we've done some few videos on some of their stuff, is that they've had so many different sounds. You know, it's like each album, it's a different vibe, mood, sound, and it's remarkable how they're able to do that. So Southernplayalistic, for anyone who started listening to them in the early 2000s, or they bought the massive selling album Love Below speaker box, then they're like, damn, this is different. So this album, my first track that I'm gonna pick is gonna be Ain't No Thang. I remember as soon as I heard this, it's early on the album, it's the third song. So Peach's intro, then my intro will let you know, then Ain't No Thang, which I love it all. So we get Ain't No Thang, and the first intro where they say, brothers in the point ain't changed, right? And I'm going to shout out Tech Nine, one of the dopest rappers of all time, because when I was listening to one of his albums, I think it's on Special Effects, he has a track on there called On the Bible, and he says, brothers in Mizzou ain't changed. And I don't remember, I was like, where the hell is that from? I was like, oh yeah, OutKast. So even some that simple people sample or
is
reference.
It from Colorblind? But yeah.
So yeah. So we got that starting it off. Then we have just the beat coming in, and I heard this beat, and I'm like, holy shit. Organized Noise is awesome, and wow. Ain't No Thang, this beat is sick. Andre and Big Boy are sick, and this is one of those albums that I sometimes hear a lot of people, I don't want to say disrespecting Big Boy per se, but I do see a lot of people on their top lists, they will only put Andre 3000. And like you won't even see Big Boy on like you see Andre 3000 in the top 10, for example, and then it'll be like a top 50 list, and I won't even see Big Boy. I'm like, what the hell are you guys? He is so good.
He's phenomenal.
And you hear his words on this, like, dude, Big Boy is killing it all throughout this album, and this song, just case in point, he is so hard. Andre on this song and this album in particular, he is saying a lot of rhymes, because I forget how hard he goes sometimes. He is saying a lot of stuff that I'm just like, damn, this is like, when he's like, can your punk ass come out to play, and all that, and I'm like, dude, he is going hard. So Big Boy plus Andre, you can really see that influence there, is spectacular. The Ain't No Thang But a Chicken Wing is super catchy and fun as well, even though the song from a sonic perspective is a bit darker and a bit more menacing slightly, right? But even back in like the MySpace days and all that, or when you had the headlines and all that, I don't know, Soren, if you did that stuff, but when you had the headlines, I remember my headline for the longest time was "Ain't no thing but a chicken wing," because I just love food and I love chicken wings in particular. So I was always repping OutKast from the early days. So this song is just masterful. It's dark. It's catchy. Just everything, dude. It's just a masterpiece. And this, I think, has to always be in my top 3, although the album is stacked from top to bottom. That's my first.
Ain't No Thing's not one of my picks.
I'm shocked.
I would also say this album, Southernplayalisticadillacmuzik, is one of those albums, literally, in my opinion, you could pick any 3 songs, could be the best 3 songs. Now mine, I admit, is somewhat shocking that I'm going to pick Funky Ride as one of my picks. Now this one is a Society of Soul song. So it's not even an OutKast song, really, even though it's on this album and Organized Noise produced it. But I remember when I was first hearing this album, and it's in the middle of the album, and I just remember thinking of this in 2 main things. One, I've never drank, smoked, done any drugs or anything, but I remember thinking this is like an interlude in the middle of the album where you would go get your smoke real quick because you're so excited and now you want to relax a little bit and listen to the rest of the album. And I also remember when I interviewed and met with Andre 3000 one time when he played me Stankonia, I remember referencing stuff from Stankonia to Funky Ride, and he was just blown away because a lot of people, even though I love Funky Ride, a lot of people don't talk about this song. But the musicality on here, I think, is amazing. The singing, and I think it really foreshadows and explains why later, as Amir said, you get these different versions of OutKast on every single album. Not only lyrically, stylistically, but sonically. You get the R&B on the title track, of course, as well with Society of Soul. But you get all of this is OutKast. So to me, Funky Ride, it's a magical song to me, and I love it. And it's so, for me, it's just so relaxing and so peaceful in the midst of all of this other music that is not particularly relaxing per se, because it's very thought-provoking. Ain't No Thang, to me, is a little more rowdy for the rest of the album. So it has all these different moods, but Funky Ride, to me, being essentially in the middle of the album, totally sonically different, singing, the vibe of it is just phenomenal to me. I love that song. So, anything before we get to your second pick, Amir, on Funky Ride?
The shocking thing is that's also one of my picks.
There we go.
And I thought that would shock Soren a bit. And the thing is, if you were to ask me what my favorite song was when I first heard this album, or top 5, this would actually probably be my least favorite song whenever I heard it. Like, let's just say like 2005 or something, right?
Okay.
So the reason why Funky Ride was one of my least favorite, if not my least favorite back then, is because back then hip-hop was so like new to me, just digging into all of it, these albums front to back and everything, that if it didn't resemble rap, I didn't want to listen to it. So any song that was like primarily like just R&B focused or just instrumental based and not hip hop, like just in a certain way, like Funky Ride kind of fell into that category where no one was rapping.
Right.
They were just singing. And back then I wasn't able to really appreciate things that weren't rap in this phase of my life. So it took me years, like maybe a decade later. I mean, just because, at that time I was like, I just went to all my go-tos and stuff, and I heard from front to back, and I don't know, it was just one day it clicked, and then I started listening to this song, and I was like,
it's phenomenal. This
is one of the best songs I think I've ever heard.
It's amazing.
The instrumental is fantastic. The way that you get the guitar in there, it's certain, like towards the middle or end or whatever, is like amazing. The singing is so fantastic. It really is what it's called, a funky ride. And there's been many times that I have just went on a night ride, on my way home from wherever I've been, and then I'll see my house, but then I'm like, the song's not even 2 minutes in. I'm going to ride a couple more blocks and then finish the song, and it's just a perfect night out, and then I'm just blasting the song. and it's just amazing. It's really
it's amazing,
a treat. And you know how sometimes you get like goosebumps when you hear a rapper or someone like say like that dope line or something, or they flow a certain way. It's like this is how I feel with just the instrumental and how they use their voices and just everything is just fantastic. And it's crazy because this is like one of the best albums ever, and both of our top 3 track doesn't even have OutKast on it, which is showing how great this song is. So
phenomenal.
I'd be really interested to see, because y'all always do a good job of commenting your favorite tracks. I'd really like to see how many people have Funky Ride in their top 3, because it's such a stacked album that I wouldn't blame them for not having it in their top 3, but it's also so damn good that I do want to see it in the top 3. So I'm happy that we both shocked each other.
Yeah,
So,
I'm very pleasantly surprised.
That's my second pick. So
Good work, Amir.
What's your second pick?
So my second pick is Get Up, Get Out. And this one, to me, as the Dungeon Family Organized Noise, as we hear them evolve later, to me, they did a masterful job on Get Up, Get Out, as they do throughout the rest of their careers. But that blend of super street hardcore with the political commentary, and then Goody Mob is on here, so you get even more voices than just Andre and Big Boy, which I think is amazing. CeeLo starts off the song, is just amazing. And I just was like, this is, on the one hand, they do an amazing job of explaining, as Dungeon Family and Organized Noise does throughout, the situation that particularly black men or black people in general in the South are in because of the legacy of slavery, etc. And this song also flips that a little bit on the head of, hey, you got to get up, get out, and get something. Don't waste your time. Don't let life pass you by. So yes, we're in a terrible situation, but you got to be a go-getter. You got to go do it yourself. It's not going to be handed to you. And I think that, to me, was a very powerful message, especially when put in the context of everything that everybody on the song raps about. And I just always thought it was very powerful, very insightful, very poignant. And sadly, a lot of this stuff rings true till today, 30 years later. So all that to be said, Get Up, Get Out. I love the music on it. As Amir and I have been saying, the production on Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music is just so phenomenal, and so sometimes subtle, sometimes hit you over the head, but it's just very, very powerful and musical. So Get Up, Get Out, phenomenal piece of work. Amir, if that's not your third pick, what'd you think of Get Up, Get Out?
That's not my third pick. This is the vinyl. I was like, I didn't pick it up. Great song, and the music video I also really enjoy.
Yes.
It's always good, and this is why, once again, it's always fun to like listen to these things in order and whatnot. Seeing Goody Mob and then seeing what they do literally next year with Soul Food. Oh my god, I don't remember if we've done that album. Maybe we did. It's hard to remember everything we did.
No, we haven't.
That album is one of the best albums I've also ever heard.
It's astonishingly powerful. To
hear them on this, to see what we got, also this being a very long song and them still making it a single, just, OutKast, and this... I'm going to go on a little segue here, a little tangent. When some of the people that you see in the footage who were not happy that OutKast won the Source Awards is crazy to me, because if you listen to this album, I mean, like Soren said, this ended up changing a lot in hip-hop, changed the course. It's a very influential album for so many reasons. It's like, I don't know how anyone can hear this and not think it's fantastic or great. Hey, literally. So, whether it's your Get Up, Get Outs, whether it's your Ain't No Things, whether it's your Funky Ride, it has so many flavors. And my next pick right here, the title track, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, is also in my top 3. And this is, it's tough. Like I said, you can really pick, like Soren said, any song can be in the top 3. For him, for me, for the most part, that is the case. It's just so tough. This song does a great job of mixing in some of the hard stuff from Ain't No Thang with also some of the singing that we got in Funky Ride. It's kind of like a best of those two worlds in a sense.
And Society of Souls on both.
And Society Souls on this one too. And the singing on this is spectacular. Once again, you get your verses from Big Boy and Andre. Once again, it's smooth, but there are some hard lines in there. Don't let it fool you. Don't let that fool you. This smoothness. And you get the instruments on here. You get Society of Soul. The cool thing is, like, you finish the verses, you get like this singing, and then it like peaks, and then you get more of the instrumental. Like, it's very well produced. The song, it's not like they're like, okay, we got our verses, we got the chorus, we're packing up, we're done, let's go to the next song. Like, they were in the studio, they were jamming. You know, let's not get it twisted. They knew what the hell they were doing, and that's why Organized Noise. And this is why I feel like the times of like the 80s, the 90s, like these times, I don't want to be like one of those old heads and say like it was better back then, but you get a lot of these in-person collaborations, you know, like this stuff that they're literally spending hours, days, weeks, whatever, in these places together and listening and going back and forth together. And you got Organized Noise, you got Society of Soul, you got all these fools in there and just making literal magic. And Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music, the song on the album, are clear examples of that. And this song is just a gem within the album. And this is my last pick.
That's not my pick, but it's such an amazing song and an amazing idea to make this the title track is also crazy. My last pick is Crumbling Herb. And like Get Up, Get Out, it has the social commentary about the master plan, killing each other and all that stuff. So you have that. But then you have the singing. It's a lush sound. Talking about weed. It's just all kinds of stuff on the song that I always just thought was super powerful. And it had all these different juxtapositions on this song that then I think speaks to the wider brilliance of Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music, the album. It was just something to me that had never been done in rap, and then to see that OutKast came in and did it at such a high level with the streets talk, the social commentary, the singing, the musicality, the instrumentation, and of course Big Boy and Andre 3000 just killing it with the raps, just being top notch. And then you throw in, let's sprinkle in the Goody Mob and just show you what else we got in the chamber. It's just, Crumbling Herb is to me one of those things that really showcases the brilliance of what OutKast brought to the table here. And at least for my picks, all of them really are in the second half of the album, which is also crazy because thankfully I would listen, or not thankfully, but the way that I would listen to albums, I listen to them straight through. I don't rewind, I don't stop, I don't fast forward, I don't do anything. Even if a song I don't care for or I get tired of an interlude, I don't ever skip them. So I might stop them and then just pick it up depending on what's going on in my life, but I never skip. And the thing is, as I was listening to Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music straight through, I just felt like it's getting better and better and better and better. Like, how is this happening? Because the first 10 songs are phenomenal, but then all the, like, wait, what is going on here? So, just a masterpiece, man. Top to bottom, front to side, back to back. I don't know, man. It's just such an amazing album. And then to me, 94, because of OutKast, really showed not only the South got something to say, as Andre 3000 would later say, but more importantly, that the Southern market was a sleeping giant.
Oh, yeah.
And it just opened the doors because the Ghetto Boys and the Two Live Crew in particular that preceded them, and even 8-Ball and MJG to a degree, didn't present themselves as so Southern as the way OutKast did, and created this whole wave, in my opinion, that we didn't even get necessarily with UGK, the people that came before OutKast that were contemporaries, but I think really OutKast was like, dude, we're from the South, we're going to rap from Southern stories, Southern perspective, and different sounds, whereas I didn't think as much we had ever gotten that before. The Two Live Crew, they didn't identify particularly the South other than sonically And ironically, that stuff is from Mr. Mix, a California native, born and raised. And then with Ghetto Boys, some of their stuff, especially earlier on, sounded much more New York-y in a lot of ways than Houston, and then Houston much later with DJ Screw, and then the Chopped, all this stuff that became their sound. But that was, decades later, and then, or a decade later-ish. And then you just don't see this sea change like you see, to me, after OutKast. So that's that. You guys got my 3 picks. Amir, you want to add anything on Crumbling Herb before we wrap up?
Dude, there's so much going on in this crazy world, man. That chorus is awesome too. The album is amazing.
Yes.
Players Ball, if you had asked me 10 years ago, that would have been my top 3, but it's not anymore. Excellent song. And it took me a while to realize that it was for the holidays.
Right.
I mean, even though a lot of the lyrics I was rapping them like as they was playing, but it took me a while to realize it. So the album is a staple, and I'm excited to see people's top picks.
Yes, definitely. Hit us up in the comment section. Let us know your top 3 picks on OutKast's Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. I'm Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
Thank you, OutKast, Dungeon Family, Organized Noise, and the whole crew that contributed to this masterpiece. Thank you for all the great music you've given us, and thank you for changing rap and opening the doors for so many phenomenal artists. Rap is indebted to you, and we love this project, man. Thank you so much. All right.
There you go.